Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. I hope you are well. I'm really happy to report that I am starting to get on top of my videos, so they're hoping to get back to my regular schedule. And here's today's. It's Thursday. It's one for my Thrifty Thursday schedule. I've not done a Thrifty Thursday for the longest time. I'm going to show you how I put together this really simple but so striking and effective project using some stamps by a very special friend of mine. So let's get on and see how I made it. I think this card is going to be a nice quick one to put together to show you. Putting it together as part of my Thrifty Thursday series. I don't remember when I last did a Thrifty Thursday. Must be a while back. Anyway, I am using what is turning rapidly into a standard card for me. I've got a topper of 4.5 by 6 inches. You've seen me do quite a few recently. It seems to be my go-to. I just really like that size. So that means my card base is 5.25 by 6 3/4. Works really, really well for me because I've got a supply of these, which are, they call them 7-inch card bases, but actually they're 6 3/4 and the envelope is 7 inches. So yeah, I've got a stack of these and that's what I've been using. So I am loving this. So there's the measurements if you want it. 4.5 by 6 for a card base of 5.25 by 6 3/4. Now, it's going to be really quick to put together. I've already put a few little bits together. I've done some of this gorgeous blue linen card, and you'll see this blue on the project. Then I've got a white layer, and then I just put some weight on the top so that that's dried nice and flat. It really does make a difference. So the next thing I've got is my topper. And onto my topper, we're going to put some cardstock. Now, this is more than I need. This is couple of strips, all linen card, because I think it looks nice. I'm actually only going to use 5 of these strips, but I've got 5 different colours. So I've got some yellow, I've got a couple here in the green, I've got more, I think one of those was an offcut in the blue, then I've got a navy blue, and then I've got a really nice tealy green. So I think they look really nice together. So for me, this feels quite masculine, but it can be whatever you want it to be. This piece of card is my topper, multi-purpose card. You don't need anything else. You could do a light emboss on here if you wanted to. You could put some ink splats on here if you wanted to. I'm going to leave it white. So these are varying between 3/4 of an inch and that looks to be a bit under 1/2 inch to me. Yes, I would say so. I think that one was 1/2 inch. Yes, 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch. I think that was an offcut, but it's just working really nicely. So you can see the different sizes. I tried it all initially with the same size and it didn't work. It needed the variation of the different widths. So I'm going to get my cut topper and I'm going to get some glue. Bookbinding glue works really well for me, and I'm going to get my first strip, and I am going to start with a chunky strip, and I'm going to just lay it diagonally. Now whatever angle works for you, you can put it on, and you'll see they are all slightly longer than the diagonal width of this card. Here's my craft mat, because I'm going to have glue hanging over, so I'm just going to, I can go a bit further with my glue now because I know I'm not going to go onto my worktop. There we go. And then I'm going to pop that at an angle on a card. So I want it to look like it's at an angle. I don't want it to be just off. So then I'm going to just have a think about my colours. So I might go and pale blue next. That's going to go there. If you want to put a gap between them, go for it. It'll look really nice. Let's go for a green after that. Then I could go for the teal. And then I could go for the yellow. That's not bad. The gap there is roughly the same as the gap down there. So yeah, I'm happy about that. So yeah, I think that will work. So let's take the next one. Like I say, if you want to put a gap between them, go for it. Actually, I might just put the glue on here. Then I know it's in the right place. Don't worry if it's a bit wider than your strip. I would rather that, because the next strip will just take the glue and then just butt it up nicely to there. Just remove any glue. Make sure it butts up nice and tight if that's what you want to do. Or what you could do is cut yourself a really fine piece and then have a white gap between. Just a fine piece, just put a piece of card in as a spacer between each one. Let's do the next one. Now this glue is going to be much wider than the strip, but that's fine. Put that there. This means by doing it this way, I know the glue's going right to the end. I can put that. Oh no, it's not. It looks more, doesn't it? Oh, it's a little bit oozing out. That's fine. Then we said we'd go for the tealy green. Do I want the tealy green? Yes, I do. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with the thick ones either end. This is the thicker strip, so let's just do a little bit of a higher glue band. There we go. So we can put that one on next. You could cut these down a lot further if you want to. I just cut them as the width of whatever the piece of card was. Right, I am actually going to put it onto here next, which is the top and the bottom, because I don't want the glue to go too far. I don't want to end up with glue residue on my card. There we go. Take that one, and then we can put that on there. Just make sure everything butts up nicely. I'm just going to give that a nice burnish. Is that pushing down? There we are. Now that has gone a bit higher, but never mind, it'll still look nice. So we can take that, turn that over, and then we can just, so what I do is put my scissors up against there, and then I just use it to trim. Now if you've got time, oops, to leave this to dry, you could take it to your paper trimmer. That's still straight. And then this one, so I'm not cutting the white card, but I'm just using the white card as my guide. It's much easier than trying to cut the strips to the right length. There we go. Doesn't that look lovely and neat? I like that. That looks nice. And look at that. That was 5 pieces of card from my scrap box. Really wasn't much at all. Okay, I don't think I need the mat anymore. It's got a bit of glue on it. So there we go. So let's actually put that onto the card base. So you could go straight onto the white, but what I have done is I've got myself a black layer, and I'm going to pop that onto there, and you'll see why I've gone black in a minute. I've put my sticks to foam tape on the back. Oops, I've got something from my previous project stuck to my pokey tool then. Take that off there. There we go. A little bit of PVA. Let's move that glue out of the way. A little bit of PVA on there. There we go. And that's going to go onto here. I press that down a bit too quick. Let's lift that up. You see, it needs to go up a bit. Can you see? Just up a little bit. Oh, come on, Corrine. You can do this. Let's do it from that way. There we are. Is that better? Oh, that's perfect. Put that one on. And then the last bit I'm going to do, back with my bookbinding glue, and that's going to go onto here. All the way across there. And that's going to go, right, let me make sure I got this right. I want navy at the bottom, just because to me it looks better to have the darker colour at the bottom. Right, take that, just burnish that down. So what I'm going to do is, while I make my topper, I thought I would get a plate and put that on top, put that over there, and then onto that I just put something heavy. There we go. Right, that's just pressing down. I've got another piece of multi-purpose card. Now, you know me, I talk about digging into your craft stash, and look at this. These are Lou Collins brush lettering. So it's a stamp and a die. These, oh, I don't actually know when she did these. A long time ago. Probably 6 years ago, maybe a bit more. I don't know. So I thought, you've got sending hugs, just to say, from all of us, Simply Marvellous, It's Your Day, which is the one I tend to use more, and then special wishes for you. So I'm going to use special wishes for you. And then you have a die to cut them out. So let's put that onto there. I'll show you how these work. Really clever. So this card is going to be really, really simple. I am going to bring out this. So Lou brought these out, like I say, at least 6 years ago. I'll have to ask her. And they're all sort of Lou's handwriting. She did a lot of work with brush lettering. She is very, very good at her brush lettering. So yeah, really, really clever. So she brought these out because not everybody can do brush lettering like Lou can. And then that means you can now get the same effects. I'm using a quick dry ink here because I've not got detail. My quick dry ink is a nice dark ink. I have got another ink close by if it's not working. Now when I was doing this, I don't know whether I've not stored my stamp properly because it was really struggling to stamp this bit of the word special. But let's have a look. But this is why I do it on here. Right, looking good, but not quite dark enough yet. I have got another ink pad to try something else if I need to. You know me, I like to do 3 stamps anyway. Put that one onto there. Just giving it a nice bit of pressure. This is a big stamp. And this is another reason why I like to use a stamping platform when the stamp is so big. That's looking good. Let me just go in with my Memento because it might be a little bit darker. I'm just trying to get the depth of inking. And then that is going to go over there. Now what I love about the dies that go with this, and you'll see in a minute, is they're not just outline dies. They do a whole lot more. Oh, look at that. Isn't that absolutely stunning? The quality of that stamping is beautiful. Really like that. Right, I'll leave that out so I remember to clean it. Okay, so I've got this. As I said, you've got the dies to go with it. So let's have a look. That one is here. And I've got a piece of waste left in there. There we go. So it cuts, does the outline as you'd expect, but it also cuts some of the internal bits too. So like here and here, and the centre of that A, the centre of that F. You know, it's going to cut some extra little bits out. So line it up. Really easy to line up. They're giving you quite a nice space around. Let's take a bit of tape, and then I'm going to put one piece of tape there and one piece of tape just there. I'm going to pop it. I can't do it in my mini trimmer because it's wider than the 3 inches, which is the mouth of your smaller trimmers. So I'm going to take it into my MIDI, and I'll just push that through quickly. Now, what I want to say is, you might not have this set of stamps and dies, but you are bound to have some sentiment dies, stamps, sorry. And if that's what you've got and you don't have dies to go with it, then just freehand cut it out. Just do a little bit of fussy cutting. I want you to think that this is achievable no matter what you've got. Now look at that. I love this. Look at all these extra little bits that have been cut out in all these little places. Makes it look so good. So we've got our die. So it's a single layer. With having the dies like this, it's a single layer, but I wanted it to be double layered. So all I've done, and you can see on here, I've put the foam pads on for speed, is I have drawn round the outside of the die, and I did it with a white pen because it's the only way I can see. Now what you have to remember is you have to remember to turn your die over. If you don't turn your die over and you draw on the back, it'll be back to front. So remember, if you either draw on the front with your die the right way, or you turn it over because you're drawing it on the back. So what I've then done is I've just cut on the right hand side of that white line. Now I just want to show you this. The cutting blade is here. Can you see that? And the outside of the die is there, and that distance is the perfect matte layer. So by drawing round here, I've created a matte layer of this width. So when I then put this onto here, you can see, look at that, I have got the perfect matte layer. So I'm going to pop some glue onto there and we'll pop it on. As I say, if you haven't got stamps and dies like Lou's, just use whatever stamps you've got. I've got a lot of Stamps by Me sentiment stamps that are quite large, so I could have used one of those. Then to do the second layer, I would have just laid my fussy cutted, if that's a word, fussy cutted stamp onto the black card and drawn around that, and then just cut a border. It's really achievable. So look at that. Doesn't that look like a statement piece? Really love this. Now we're nearly there. We have nearly completed this project. I'm going to bring back my card base. Looking good. Look at that. There we are. And I'm going to just stick that in the centre. Now this is where I did the 5, because I sort of had a play around and I felt that that worked really well. So let's take these backs off these foam pads. If you've got black foam pads, that's even better. Or if you are a bit concerned, you can go around the edges with a black pen to make them black foam pads if you wanted. And that is just going to go on to my card. Make sure it's in the centre, like that. So it's come off the lines at the bottom, off the line at the top, but it's contained within. So the last thing I need to do, I think it needs a couple of gems. Even if it's going to be for a male, it still needs a couple of gems. So I thought I could take one of those and put it there over the eye of the wishes. Oh, I better do it over the special as well, hadn't I? There we go. That covers that up nicely. And then I could just put a couple of gems. I'm going to do quite largest gems. I need one more. I think I need a couple more. Let's do a couple of smaller ones. There we go. Just like that. And you know what? That is it. It's a card for, it could be for a gent, it could be for a lady. It's going to change depending on what colour you've got in your scrap box. I found the blue and I had enough to do the background layer as well as that. So that was the only reason I chose to do a matte layer of blue, is when I looked in my scrap box, it was the only one of all the colours that I'd got out that I could get a matte layer out of as well. I love that. I know the yellow isn't linen card, but I still think it works. How about that? I really, really like that. Really quick, really simple. Sometimes that's just what you want, but whatever sentiment you want in there, and it feels really, really robust. So I'm going to leave you there. That's today's Thrifty Thursday project. I'm sure lots of you have got the necessary to make this project up. Okay, on the left, as always, is a link to another video. On the right is a link to my subscribe if you can. Down at the bottom will be links to some of my other bits and pieces, some glues, adhesives and all the rest of it. And also a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page if anyone is able to contribute. That would be amazing. Thank you. It helps keep the channel running. And I will leave you there. I've got some more videos ready and raring to go. I feel like I am finally starting to get on top of my videos so that I'm not going to be missing any. It's taken me a couple of days since getting back off my holiday, so thank you for your patience. And I will be back very, very soon on Saturday, I'm sure, with another video. So until then, you take care, my crafty friends, and bye for now.